rolling hills of North Wales. On screen as we await our Honda Cadets to get themselves all gridded up for their B final. There's the grid on the screen. It's Mason Webster on pole position with Alex Lynn alongside Drew Davidson and Alfie Forrester on row 2. Freddie Lines and Thomas Percox on row 3. James Winstanley starts 7th alongside Freddie Housego. Max Lewis is 9th. Max Housego is 10th. Then we've got Joshua Owen and Scarlett Percox. 10 of these drivers will go through into the final at the end of the day. Before we get going though, for our Honda Cadet final, we're just going to have a look at some of our kind sponsors of the Cadet and Junior Car Championship. Our Honda Cadet B final is getting themselves ready. That's the second place man, Alex Lynn. He's not had quite the luck he'd have hoped for throughout the day. Then we've got the second row, that's Drew Davidson on the left. I think we've got Alfie Forrester alongside him. There's the pole man though, that's Mason Webster. Focus all forward. Looks like he's getting some support there as well from Jared Fox-Whiteley and Lewis Goff, although Mason does appear to have fallen asleep ever so slightly as he gets himself nice and relaxed for this B final. Alfie Forrester with a thumbs up, he's going off the second row. Drew Davidson in third place. Then we're going to have Freddie Lines there on the left-hand side. Alongside him will be the 33 of Thomas Percox, I believe. We've got Scarlett. She's going to be going out as well. She's making her way down to her cart. In the 95 of James Winstanley. Behind that we've got Max Lewis and Joshua Owen as well. That's the house it goes. Freddie in front of Max, and then Scarlett Percox as well. Max Lewis has to run back to his car. I think they're just going to get confirmation that they're about to go out, but he's certainly now back in the seat. We've got all of our runners, I believe, into position. As Joshua Owen gives us a little thumbs up. And there is Scarlett Percox, the final runner of our 12 here in our Honda Cadet B final. Your front row with Webster on the left and Lynn on the right. They've both had difficult days so far. They've had a couple of good heats, but the ones that have been difficult was one Alex Lynn. You remember in heat number 1, he was on the grass and stuck for the best part of 2 laps. Then in the last one, we had Mason Webster as well. He was off in the tyres and he was stuck for the best part of a lap there as he had to drag his own cart back out of the tyre wall. And that's why those two are down there on the front row. They've got this race to try and get themselves through into the main event at the end of the day. Looks like everybody is there and good to go. Just need confirmation that everybody is in position. We've got 12 drivers, which is what we were expecting in this Honda Cadet B final. So we should be in a position to go racing very, very soon. Thank you for joining us on the Alpha Live channel. Thank you for getting in touch as well. We've got all of our drivers. I'm not quite sure what the delay is on getting them out onto track, but we've got everybody that we were expecting down there for this B final. 12 runners going. Top 10 will make it straight through then into the A final at the end of the day to make a 30 kart final for you in that class. Still got some scrutineering going on in the background by the look of it down there as well. That's also Curtis Latimer having his car looked at. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for watching. Stick with us. We're not done. I'm just going to have to wait for these this Honda Cadet B final to get themselves out on track in a few moments' time. See whether we've got any results in yet from that junior final. Looks like it's clear and Latimer's cart is being pulled away, so I've got no penalties applied at all in that one. So I'm going to have a quick look towards the A final. Harris Roberts will start on pole position, so the top 20 have already been sorted for the thing. There we go, the B final is out. So when the top 10 from this one get added on, they'll go from 21st through to 30th place. They'll go off the back with Harris Roberts on pole position, with Thomas Potter alongside Max Wheatley and Ethan Charles on the second row for that final. So we're going to see then who else manages to progress out of this Honda Cadet B final into the A at the end. We will unfortunately lose 2 of our runners at the end of this one. So this is more important than any race so far today, that you get to the end and see the checkered flag, because with 2 spots not going through, if you don't manage to, if you break down or if you go off and you lose a lap, you're just going to really struggle to get back anywhere near that top 10. As they make their way round, they'll have their helpers to get them into position. It'll be Webster on the left, Lynn on the right. 12 runners in this Honda Cadet B final. There we see Mason Webster rolling in on the left side, Alex Lynn on the right, Drew Davidson in 3rd place with Alfie Forrester in 4th. Freddie Lines, very, very quick driver, would have expected to see him in the A final today. He's going to go off 5th place off the inside of the 3rd row alongside Thomas Percox there in the black and yellow car. And we've got James Winstanley, Freddie Housego, Max Lewis, then Max Housego. And then the final row of Joshua Owen and Scarlett Percox. Look for the red lights up the top. We're away and racing. It's a good start from the pole sitter Mason Webster, but he could get squeezed into the first corner by Alex Lynn, and Webster will hold the inside, but Lynn could potentially have better drive up the straight towards the right-hander. They're going to be 3 wide into the first corner, and Drew Davidson sweeps round the outside from 3rd place into the lead, with Freddie Lyons coming along as well from 5th place up into 2nd. They head now down the hill towards the carousel. Looks like Webster there got forced slightly wide by Alex Lynn. Lynn tries to get to the inside. Webster goes back up the hill, and Webster will drop down into 4th place as Lynn comes through down the inside. Webster tries to get back to the inside again. Now we've got Freddie Lyons in the lead from Drew Davidson, as Davidson takes a slightly different line to everybody else. Down the hill they come then for the first time. We're up to 10 minutes rather than 8, and Davidson takes more curve than he probably wanted, and that's going to allow Alex Lynn to get a good run as Freddie Lyons has a look over his shoulder, looks back at everybody else. They're still coming through side by side as Mason Webster tries to get round the outside of Alex Lynn into the top of the circuit. Thomas Percox as well, with Alfie Forrester. So the top 6 have broken away ever so slightly as they make the run down the hill. Mason Webster tries to get alongside Alex Lynn, and will now try and get that cut back as Lynn right on the back of Davidson. Webster pops out, has a thought about getting down the inside of Lynn, goes again to the inside of Lynn, and then will run much wider than everybody else. Can he try and get the chop back, and will that allow Thomas Percox to come through as Lynn and Davidson get into the side of each other, and Lynn is through, and that's opened the door for Mason Webster as well to come through down the inside of Drew Davidson. Will give Freddie Lyons a little bit of respite out at the front, but Alex Lynn and Mason Webster finding a way past Drew Davidson as they head up the hill towards Spoon Corner. And get hard on the brakes then as Webster takes a wider line than Davidson and comes back to the inside. Lynn opens up 2 or 3 kart lengths there now as they make their way into that double apex left of Carousel. Back up the hill, Percox gets alongside Davidson. Looks like we've got a bit of sunshine here at GYG. Back down the hill now, Davidson coming under increasing pressure from Thomas Percox. They're all nose to tail all the way down. I think Max Lewis is in there as well. One of the Housegos, then come all the way through. So Lewis in 8th, then nose to tail from 4th place, Drew Davidson, and Alex Lynn and Mason Webster have reeled in Freddie Lyons at the front of this race. And that's Alex Lynn down the inside of Freddie Lyons, and Alex Lynn leading the B final here. Freddie Lyons arm off the steering wheel. That's not going to do him any favours because it's potentially opening the door for Mason Webster to come down the inside. Lynn through and into the lead. Look, Lyons didn't look overly happy with it and will now try and return the favour and get back through on Alex Lynn. They're side by side. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them. Through they come. They don't want to be getting too involved early on in this race. This is a run-off to get into the A final. It's not a run-off to get any trophies. So there is a much bigger picture in this one. As the top 8 now still pretty much nose to tail for the lead. The remaining packs is Winstanley and Max Housego. The other 2 that are going to get through there, they are side by side in the background. Looks like they could be the 2 that are going to go through into the A final with, as it stands at the moment, Joshua Owen and Scarlett Percox missing out, going through into that 30 kart runoff. And Mason Webster is through on Freddie Lyons and up into 2nd place. Good move from Webster. And the run down the hill moves him up into 2nd off the back of Alex Lynn now as Davidson trying to close in on Freddie Lyons. Alfie Forrester is going to drop a few places, and Webster down the inside of Alex Lynn into the first corner, and Mason Webster, who lost the lead off the start from pole position, retakes it at almost half race distance. He's through on Alex Lynn, and Mason Webster leads the B final. Wide through the spoon though. Will Lynn get the run down the hill on Webster? Freddie Lyons a kart length back. He's going to be occupied with Drew Davidson in their battle for third and fourth place. The gap's opened up ever so slightly. We are at about half distance. Then we're going to add that one lap on at the end as they race against the clock down towards the end of this Honda Cadet B final. Through the lefts and the rights. The top 8 though, still only 2.5 seconds between them. First down to 8th place on the screen, 3 seconds. Then there's a gap back to Winstanley and Housego. They're nose to tail for 9th and 10th. They'll be the remaining 2 runners. Webster has a gap of 2 kart lengths from Alex Lynn and Freddie Lyons. There's the battle in the background. They're still coming up the hill side by side between James Winstanley and Max Housego. And Freddie Lyons is closing in. Once again, he's broken away from Drew Davidson, who's now got Freddie Housego and Thomas Percox for company. Alex Lynn parks that number 6, a kart width in to try and stop Lyons coming alongside him into the complex of corners. Down the hill they come with 4 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. Round that final corner, the bumpy final corner, be it the curb on the inside or the curves on the outside as well. Personal best for Alex Lynn, Davidson and Housego as they run up the hill, and Alex Lynn's going to try and sweep round the outside of Mason Webster. And Webster closing the door into the Spoon complex. Will now Freddie Lyons try and get the cutback on Alex Lynn. Webster's going to park the kart on the inside. He's much tighter down that hill. Will let that run in wide and allow Alex Lynn to try and get back alongside. Can't. I think this one is just bubbling away towards the final few minutes of this race. These drivers understand that there's a bigger picture in this one. They have to get through at the end. The gap back to Joshua Owen and Scarlett Percox in 11th and 12th respectively is where we need to be looking, because the top 10 are going to go through here, and Alex Lynn gets a good run on Mason Webster. They're side by side up the Dragon Straight, and Alex Lynn is to the inside, and then Freddie Lyons as well is going to try and get alongside Mason Webster at the top of the hill, and Lyons is through as well, and Webster is demoted back down into 3rd place. So Lynn back to leading the way with Freddie Lyons in 2nd place, Webster 3rd. Davidson has been overtaken now by Freddie Housego in the yellow helmet. That's him in 4th place. Davidson then down to 5th as Percox tries to get a nose down the inside. Max Lewis as well. Alfie Forrester's dropped away off the back of this battle at the front. The top 7 are now split by 1.7 seconds. Forrester 2 seconds further back, a comfortable 8. There's a change on the screen with the top 5 going either green or red, depending on whether they've moved up or dropped down. Forrester sets a personal best. There he is in the background. Have a look for Winstanley and Housego coming around the first corner. There they are. There are your runners in 9th and 10th place. There's this contact there between Alex Lynn and Freddie Lyons side by side, and that's going to allow Mason Webster to get the run down the hill, and Webster is back up into 2nd place. So Alex Lynn there and Freddie Lyons. Lyons with a little bit of a head shake. Not for the first time in this race does Freddie Lyons feel slightly aggrieved. That one was just a little bit of side pod to side pod as they got alongside each other into the Spoon corner at the top of the straight, and Webster with another good run round the final corner, tries to get alongside Alex Lynn, can't, and has the front closed off him ever so slightly. There's some lap traffic in front, so they're looking to close up on that. Who can take advantage of the lap traffic here in this Honda Cadet B final? They're still nose to tail. Alex Lynn leading the way from Mason Webster and Freddie Lyons, the top 3. The top 10 going to go through. They're catching up at the moment to Scarlett Percox, so they are going to encounter some lap traffic. They have to get through cleanly. They don't want to ruin the race. They're going to go down the inside. The top 2 or 3 at the very least are through, and Webster in 2nd, Lyons in 3rd. The rest of the field have come through very, very cleanly on Scarlett Percox, who once again drives superbly in keeping out of the way of the leaders making their way through. 45 seconds remaining then in this Honda Cadet B final. It's Alex Lynn leading the way from Mason Webster, with Freddie Lyons getting a good run out of the club corner as they head up the hill towards Spoon. Hard on the brakes. Who's going to get it stopped? Webster, half in attack mode, half in defence. He knows he's got to come through. In this one, it's not about taking the victory, although I'm sure he would absolutely love to do it. It's about getting through into this Honda Cadet A final as far forward as you possibly can. At the moment, it's Lynn, Webster, Lyons, Housego, Davidson, Percox, Lewis, Forrester, Winstanley and Max Housego going through as it stands. The time elapsing at the top of the screen. The last lap board will be waiting for Alex Lynn as he comes through this time. Board is out, received by your race leader. And let's see who can, if anybody, can make the run. It's only the difference between 21st and 22nd, but it means everything to these drivers as they make their way up the hill for the final time. Hard on the brakes into Spoon, the heaviest braking zone on this track, as they reach almost 60 miles an hour at the top of the hill in these Honda Cadets. Down the hill they come then for the final time. Then they're going to go back up again in towards the hill at the right-hander at the top of the hill. Alex Lynn goes defensive. Mason Webster tries to get the cutback. Webster alongside Alex Lynn, and there's a little bit between them, but Lynn fights another corner, survives from Mason Webster, with Freddie Lyons in third place at the moment. Out of the final corner they come then. Lynn holds on to take victory in the B final. Webster fights valiantly to try and take the victory, but has to settle for second. Lyons in third, Housego fourth, Davidson fifth, with Thomas Percox, Maximus Lewis, Alfie Forrester, James Winstanley and Max Housego, with the look of it, making it through. There they are, Winstanley and Housego crossing the line for 9th and 10th respectively. Those 10 will go through and be added onto the back of the A final from positions 21 down to 30th respectively.